Hi everyone. It has been a while since I've done a video. Um, I'm a little bit slow to the get-go right now. My mind is still waking up. I think it has been trying to wake up for the past couple of weeks. Not sure if everybody has been the same way, but so I wanted to talk today about a particular card, and we'll get to that in majors. That is always an elusive card for me. There is always a card for me that tends to, at least for me, has always meant something else until quite recently. And I'm sure that my understanding of this card will change as I go along in my tarot practice. But before I get to that, I wanted to do a little bit of reflective musings, if you will, if you all allow me to do that, which is a little bit uncommon for me to entertain. Usually I go right into the cards. But I wanted to talk about just recently what has been going on for me. June is coming to an end. And I think it also ties to the card I'm going to be talking about. So I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately, probably more than I usually do. Reflecting more on life, meaning of life. And when I say meaning of life, I don't mean is there anything beyond our departure, karmic forces, things like that, but more in a sense of observing people lately a lot. Probably because I have increased my social media presence for my business as a psychologist, for my transgender focused work. I've got on TikTok where I do short 60-second snippets about transgender informational. And so just by broadening my presence, broadening my energies, shifting my energies and being more present on social platforms, being more present in a virtual world, sounds so weird to say that, I have been more observant of people and people's behaviors. Wow, TikTok in particular, guys, I gotta tell you, is so scary. I've been for so long against social media for a lot of reasons, and there has been a lot of great documentary films about it, why it's not good for us. There has been a lot of great books written about it, and I've been really against it until I came across Gary V. Content, business person, side note, who constantly says that social media is not bad. It doesn't ruin us. It really exposes who we are. And that changed my perception of social media, and I have to agree with him. It doesn't really change who we are. I mean, if I feel like scrolling through Instagram takes away my time, I have the power and choice to step away from Instagram. I don't have to buy or purchase things that are presented to me in ads and commercials. That's still within our own capacity to choose, right? But it sure as hell exposes us for sure, and it exposes who we are. And it's fascinating to have that perspective towards social media as something that exposes who we are. And I have been watching TikTok, like I said, terrifies me. I'll post and I'll go away from TikTok, and then I'll come back next day to post something else and to check if there's any comments I need to respond to. And then once in a while, I'll just, out of curiosity, and wow, I mean, and this is what I've been reflecting on. What are we doing? The kind of stuff people are posting is, I don't know what to call it. Empty, shallow, obscene. It's almost, you know what it is? What reminds me, TikTok, most of it reminds me of, it's like junk food. You know, you crave it and it hits all the palate notes, right? All those like savory and sweet and salty. But it's empty of nutrients. It has absolutely no nutritional value. And so it leaves you feeling empty. And that's what it's like, and it's terrifying to see that this is, I mean, I came across a video of a woman breastfeeding. I can't even say it was a child. It looked like it was probably 8-year-old, not 6-year-old. Point being, beyond needing to be breastfed. And it was so disturbing. And it was so strange. It's almost like thinking in the strange universe. Strangers on Instagram, strangers on Facebook, strangers on any other social media platform. And it's bizarre. I told my husband that, I said, every time I start looking, it's like you also kind of can't stop. It's like a bad train disaster about to wreck itself, and you can't stop watching. It's like one of those really bad dramas, really bad films that you just start watching and it's horrible, but you can't stop and take your eyes off of it. And he said, yeah, my son described it as cocaine. It's exactly like that. It's cocaine. I call it junk food, absent of nutrients. Point being, I've been kind of saturated a lot in it, and I don't know, guys. I really don't know. I don't know if I'm getting jaded with people, with humans. I don't know if I'm getting jaded with the world, with everything going on, especially lately with the war in Ukraine, with the transgender rights recently, women's rights, lack of rights, really. It just, the juxtaposition between what's really going on and what's going on in this alternative universe, which is also exists, which is also part of us, which is also part of everybody else, is so detached and so, I can't make sense of it. And that's what I've been really pondering. And I don't know if any of you watching have been pondering that too. And this is also what I really like about tarot, right? Because it invites self-reflection. It invites for us to sit with ourselves and self-reflect. And I also think this is why for a lot of us, or at least a lot of us tend to express, that it's challenging for us to, I'm sorry, camera keeps going in and out every time I move. It's challenging for a lot of us to engage in, to sit down, to carve out time, to sit, to really sit with the cards. And I think part of the challenge is because we're so inundated with everything else. So if you are engaging in junk food, even occasionally, even momentarily, and you have the realization that that's that kind of stuff going on out there, that's going to affect you. And it's been an interesting time. The recent overturning of women's legal rights to abortion has really kind of shifted things inside of me. And I got so angry. For the first time, I got so angry. And I don't honestly even know who to be angry at, Men, women, politicians, corporations. I know it's not about abortion. I know it's not about children. I know it's not about saving children's lives. I mean, come on. It's about a lot more about power and control. And I don't know. I'd be curious to know how that made everybody feel. I was very lucky. I had several abortions when I was young. I was very lucky I had access to it. I never wanted to have kids. And one time I even got pregnant while I had IUD, which is pretty damn bulletproof birth control method. So I'm pretty versatile, I suppose. So I was reflecting back what would I do now? What would I do even back then if I didn't have access to abortion? And that terrifies me. For the first time in my life, and I've been working with transgender folks for 15 years now, and as much as I have a pretty good grasp on what they're going through, one can never really understand. And even now I don't really understand because I'm not in their shoes. But for the first time, I come even a little bit, tiny bit closer to be able to fathom trans folks being terrified that one day they're going to go to the pharmacy to get their hormones, and they won't have access to it. It'll be forbidden. It'll be illegal to get hormones, something so essential. And I think that's where we're headed next. So, like I said, I'm just in the space right now, guys. I think a lot of you who are watching are in the space with me as well. So this brings me to the card I want to talk to you about, and that's Temperance card. So the title of this video said, "Fuck balance." I'll explain why. This is such a weird card, especially in Zoe's deck. I didn't even bother pulling out the same card from other decks, Rider-Waite-Smith deck. We're all familiar with Temperance from Rider-Waite-Smith. This figure, I was going to say she, but it's really not even a woman. It's like this androgynous figure. There's so much going on in this card. This is a card that every time I would get on reading, what does it even mean? Temperance. What does it mean to temper? Crowley renamed it as art. What is art, right? What is art? Art is a way we create. Art is an expression of the soul. Art is, God, there's so much one can say about art, really, right? One can say art is life. Wasn't it Picasso who said something to the extent of truth is always mirrored or expressed in art, or art exposes the truth, something to that effect. So there's a lot to say about art. For the longest time, the keyword that would come up when I would get this card would be balance. So fucking stupid. What is balance, really? If you think about balance, it doesn't even exist. Balance is equilibrium. But what is equilibrium? You know, it's equals on both sides. And this being a major arcana, of course, this is not talking about a literal balance in a sense of if you were to put down scales and if you were to put down a watermelon over here and cantaloupe over here, and if they weigh equally, that's balance. That's a literal balance in weight. And it's not talking about literalism, right? It's talking about a balance that doesn't exist. There's no such thing as balance in life. There's no such thing as balance in emotions, balance in living, balance even in art. Isn't everything skewed? Always? So I've been thinking about this card for a long time because I knew it's not balance. And every time I would get it, I would get annoyed because my head will go to balance, but I know better. This is not balance. This is not about balancing things. And recently, when I got this card, I read in this book, which one of my favorite books, I highly recommend it for all of you guys. She does such an amazing job breaking down majors and astrology of those two. So here's what I read that really shifted things for me. And this will tie to what I said in the beginning of the video. So let me read. So, by the way, there is so much going on in this card. First of all, this is continuation of what started off in Lover's card. This is a process that now takes place in Temperance. There's a lot that one can say about how this represents your higher angel and how this leads to real execution of your will. And oh my God, Marcus Katz has a fascinating writing in this book about sex magic and symbolisms. He goes briefly about the red symbolizing, and we can go into also alchemy, right? Surfer Mercury, but the red symbolizing feminine, but feminine during menstrual cycle, and the white is symbolizing the sperm, the potential, life potential, and what happens when things that initially shouldn't really produce anything, right? So for example, when you're having sexual intercourse, and it's during the time when a woman is actually has dropped an egg, she's on her menstrual cycle, technically speaking, one shouldn't be able to get pregnant, right? Technically speaking, all the women do quite a bit. So talking about a lot of things here. There's a lot to unpack here, and I'm not going to go into unpacking a lot of it. And Crowley has a great description of it. Ducat has great breakdown of it, and this book has phenomenal breakdown of it too. But I'm not going to go into everything in this card because it would also negate the point of this video. Because the point of this video is how we arrive at particular level of shift in perspective and growth for ourselves. And this is something that one has to go by themselves without having somebody here break down every single symbolist on the card. But there's a lot to unpack here. But I want to focus on just one element here. So above this figure, there is an inscription in Latin. I'm not going to read it because you're going to quickly hear how horrific I am in absence of Latin in my life. But the capital letters overall spell vitriol, a word which sums up the process. The meaning in English is, I'm going to read it to you, visit the interior parts of the earth. By rectification, those should find the hidden stone. The interior parts of the earth are, of course, the interior workings of ourselves, or the little understood unconscious which Jung has divided in the collective unconscious and those true for all of humanity. But this is what struck me when I read this, the word rectifying. The word rectify means to set straight, to remedy, to correct. In chemistry and also in alchemy, to rectify means to purify by repeated distillation. In fact, that's what alchemists try to do by constantly rectifying and distilling and going through the process, right? They're really rectifying their soul. I'm going to stop here. If you guys are going to be interested, I can photocopy just this description, since these videos are like for educational purposes. I'm not selling anything. And I can just put that particular description below. Let me know if you're going to want me to do that. But so rectifying. I started thinking about this card, and I started thinking about this word rectify. Because indeed, rectify is to course correct, to make things straight. And this is much more, definitely has nothing to do with balance, right? Of course, a sense of balance can arise out of us rectifying inner parts of ourselves, but the balance that arises as a result of rectifying is not the balance of equilibrium. It's not an equal balance. Like I said, it doesn't exist. It's a perceived sense of balance that oftentimes comes with a shift in perspective and comes with a shift of what we perceive as fair. It ties interestingly into what's going on right now in the world. Interesting that I chose to do this. I've been wanting to do this card actually last week, never got to it, and now with abortion laws, it seems so right? And I've been thinking about this card. How much rectifying do we have to do? And how it's again, it's not about balance. It's not about equality, equal rights for all. I wish it was equal rights for all. Of course I do. It's about perceived fairness in balance. And sometimes when you look at it, it may seem like things are out of whack. But my goodness, how much rectifying do we have to do now? This is also fascinating because there's so much you can say about this card when you use the word rectify. this goes beyond alchemical process. And this book talks also about the psychology and how in psychology we rectify things that come up for us, the emotions, the feeling. One can easily say that the whole premise of life, these questionings that I've been doing in the beginning of this video about just what's going on with all of us humans. The whole process of living is rectifying, is being in the midst of this art form. Art is such a great name for this card, because life is art. And you're constantly rectifying things, because as you realize and learn things about yourself, your inner balance shifts, or your perception of things shifts. It's also fascinating that this card comes after something has been cleared up, something has been removed, something has been weeded out, and also comes before Lord of material gates, Lord of material, whatever. What is it that if we don't rectify within ourselves, is our mind then capable to create? What do we create if we're not really fully, if we're not rectify as much as possible to our whole, what I want to say, guys, is authentic is not the word. Purest? What is purest? To our, I guess, the most honest form of who we are, because we're constantly rectifying, constantly changing, right? And after the devil comes the tower. So what ends up so quickly? I mean, look how quickly they all in a series. It's such an interesting series, right? Of psychic development, alchemical development, psychology of the self. I can easily say these are the 4 most important cards in the majors. The sequence of these 4, I would say, describe the cycle of the development of the soul. You can call it development or growth of our higher self, achieving wholeness, individuation, all the words we use in order to denote us becoming as much more whole human beings. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Because it will destroy and break down if the structure has not been properly rectified. So, because whatever you build, whatever you actually create, whatever you make material, if it doesn't come from the purest part of your soul, most honest one can say part of your soul, disaster will strike. Another way to look at it actually is, even if it comes from the purest part of your soul and you build it, you make it material, still sometimes it still has to be demolished for the cycle to begin again, so that this fellow can come in and clear up all of the debris. So this is actually an interesting cycle if we were to put the cards in a circle. So, yeah, I say fuck balance because I think it's rectifying. It's the inner alchemy. And whatever that means for you will be different than whatever it means to me. Each one of us has to sit with it. This understanding of what do we need to rectify? What needs to be made right? What needs to be made right? What does right means? This is interesting, right? Especially right now with the world being so divided. Everybody is rectifying themselves. Everybody has a different sense of what is right for them. This is another conundrum. It's easy to, I don't know. I saw on TikTok they put pictures of the Supreme Court justices who voted to overturn the rights, and they listed their coordinates and their home addresses. And I gasped and I thought, this is not all right. This is not all right. So, I'm sorry if this is a little bit, I'm just in one of those reflective moods, slow on a take, slow on a talk. kind of very introspective lately. Let me know what you think. How do you see temperance? Feel free to do VR if you have YouTube channel. If you want to do VR, I'd love to watch and to hear what you think about temperance and how it ties to you right now, wherever you are, during these challenging times, or just comment, share. Also, let me know if anybody would be interested in more reflective videos like this one. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a great weekend. I hope everybody is in a process of their own rectifying. Begs to also wonder when one does get this card in a spread, right? Because if I think in a way we're always rectifying consciously and unconsciously, but imagine if you get it in a spread, it's almost like this push to reflect what needs to be set straight, what needs to be made right, what needs to be altered. Interesting. So anyhow, hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you all next time. Bye.